Back, we continue with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. We're talking about a few other Steeler issues. One of them is James Harrison, a scratch today. Even though he looked fairly healthy, the official word was illness. Colin, what do you make of James Harrison?
Yeah, I don't believe he was ill, considering that I saw him. He was cleaning and jerking about, 1,700 pounds on Instagram this week. What I make of this is I wouldn't be surprised if James Harrison walks in the Southside facility with his football pads and says, "Here you go, I'm done." I don't know what the plan is. Was the plan to go ahead and keep him fresh for the rest of the year? Was the plan to work him in? I thought the Chicago game would have been a spectacular time to go ahead and play James Harrison because he sets that edge. He can guard against that run game, bouncing it a little bit, and he would have been great again in the Chicago game. He would have been really good. So I don't know. And maybe they should enlighten James Harrison a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the catch here. If you're going to do this, if you're going to have some sort of grand plan about how you're going to use James Harrison, or more accurately, not use him early in the season so he's ready late in the season, then tell him. Let him know. Don't keep him in the dark. That's the last guy I want wondering about what he's supposed to do when he comes in every day at 4 in the morning to push around thousands of pounds on a sled. Keep him in the loop. Tell him what's supposed to be going on. And moreover, get him out on the field where, yes, he can be useful, where he can scare quarterbacks like Mike Glennon and Joe Flacco into doing stupid things.
Bob, I do think he's sick. I think he's sick about not playing. Because like what Colin said, he should have been playing against Chicago. They should have at least tried him there when nothing else was working. And I'm starting to wonder what the big grand scheme of the plan is. Is it to not use Harrison unless it's absolutely necessary? Because it's starting to look that way. I thought it made a lot of sense to have him and T.J. Watt rotate a little bit to start the season. That way you keep Watt fresher longer before he hits the rookie wall, and you don't burn a lot of tread off the tires for Harrison as well. Now if they're just putting him in dry storage until the end of the year, you know what the football types like to say? There's a difference between in shape and football shape. And then we kept hearing it with Le'Veon Bell. There's a difference between football shape and game shape. Well, where's James Harrison's game shape going to come from if he's not going to be pulled out of the freezer until late in the season?
Let's talk about the run defense. This defense overall, I think, is really going to be special if they all stay healthy. We saw some great individual performances today, but they still are giving up a lot of big-time chunks of yardage in the run game. So, Chris Mack, are you concerned about that? Today, a 51-yarder. Last week, 220 yards, 80 in overtime on 3 plays. I mean, come on. Yeah,
the one common theme I keep seeing, Pomp, is that we've got a ton of young guys, young, fast guys on this defense who like to get after the football. So what's happening? They're getting after the football, and they're losing their lanes, or they're over-pursuing. And then what happens? A smart running back sees 10 guys on this side of the field, and he says, okay, I'm going to cut back and go this way now. And that's what we're seeing. We saw it multiple times last week in Chicago. We saw it today in Baltimore for a big run. We've seen it throughout this early part of the season. So stay in your lanes, stay after guys, and don't over-pursue and open up those cutback lanes.
I thought that Hilton, I thought that Shazier, and I thought that Cam Hayward were brilliant today. And I think that and Hayward is what he is. You know you're going to get a solid performance out of him. He was spectacular today. He was very, very good. But I think that Ryan Shazier has progressively gotten better each week this season, and that says a lot about the Steelers' defense. And he's kind of the straw that stirs everything for me.
Yeah, Colin, he's their best cover guy.
Yeah.
He's their best cover guy in any position right now. And Hilton might be their best blitzer, come to think of it. And what you said about Hayward, absolutely. I think his stat line, as good as it was, deserved to be even better the way he controlled the line of scrimmage. And I'll throw a 4th star in there if I could, if we're doing hockey press box analogies here. The 4th star would probably go to Bud Dupree, who I thought was very active today and laid a big hit on Joe Flacco too. So a little credit for him as well.
I think Hayward and Tuitt, when they're both doing their thing, that's going to be as good a 1-2 punch from a defensive line that you're going to find in the NFL. All right. Now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to go round the horn for this week's Smooth Moves, brought to you by Armina Stone, Pittsburgh's largest supplier of smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops. So, one by one, start with you, Chris, your smooth move of the week.
Saquon Barkley, opening kickoff against Indiana, runs it back 98 yards for a touchdown throw and a touchdown pass as well. Made it look like they were playing Akron again.
You know what, Saquon was mine last week. He's going to be a regular in this segment, and he should be all the way up to the Heisman. I'll go with Russell Westbrook for signing that massive contract with OKC on Kevin Durant's birthday when he had the paperwork allegedly in front of him for months. He just saved it till that day. Hopefully use some of it to send Katie a dozen cupcakes or something.
My smooth move, easy for me to say, Hugh Hefner. Not for dying, because dying is not a smooth move.
No,
it's not to be.
Rarely.
I don't recommend it. But I recommend Hugh Hefner's life. That's his smooth move. He had a life probably every man in America, well, every man in the world would probably have traded for.
Pump
Smooth move.
Pump lives it every day. What are we talking about here?
That's
Yes.
right. I just don't wear the pajamas to work every day.
Not to
Okay,
work.
You never know. All right. I won't give you my smooth move because it has something to do with that as well. That is our smooth move segment of the week, brought to you by Armina Stone. The features Pittsburgh's largest indoor stone gallery of granite, marble tops, import from all over the world to your countertop from Armina Stone. We'll be back with more right after this.